I got the golden sparkle in my eye. If you have a golden ticket, you have the golden way. I'm not
Stick to your
sick.
date. Yes, you are.
I'm not.
We're all sick in our own way.
That's right. So I'm not sick like it hurts, you know.
You are.
No, I'm not. I reject your reality and substitute my own. Alrighty, so good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, and thank you for joining us once again, the Modern Sisters of Gaming. I am your host, Kaiju Not Sick K. With me here is Juggernaut Sick as a
Oh,
Jared.
shit!
Hello.
Necro Sicker than Juggernaut Nick.
Bullshit!
The Never Sick K Mod.
Hello. Hello.
The feels like she's sick, but she's just overworked Mama Bear.
Hello.
And echoing in the distance might be sick Trisha. Time Trisha.
Boom. Yeah. Oh, yeah, let me know.
Anyways. What is going on here?
That's a good one, Doug.
I'm sarcastic with a bunch of people frowned upon. Yes, actually it is, but only in certain countries. So as you guys have known, we're doing a series of events where we use our imaginations to create custom things. Now, no one has figured out what we're actually doing yet, which I find very funny. So I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret. There is a purpose to what we're doing. There is. You see, this is all leading up to a couple of fun events, including one where we're going to piss off so many people, I'm pretty sure our entire site is going to get jacked. So this week we are bringing up that wonderful game, Don't Starve Together, with our own custom characters. Next week we will be doing Command and Conquer with our own personal armies, which should be fun. After that... So don't get mad at us, but the only one of us who actually has an extensive knowledge of the game that we're going to be custom characters of is K-Mod over here.
I only played a little bit, and like by a little bit, I mean the tutorial of Warhammer Black Tide, I believe.
See, that's the problem. So that's not what we're doing. We're doing Warhammer 40K.
Right.
I've never played it.
Well, you'll have to start looking things up. Basically, it's just easy. It's easy. I'll explain it later. We'll be doing it together.
If you got like 8 hours, you go look up Horus Heresy. But
no,
I'm just saying.
I have heard about the Horus Heresy. We're not going that far in. And just to be honest with you, I'm against the humans completely.
Basically, just pick something. If you like fire, if you like bolters, just pick something you actually would like to go down that route. You'll find something.
I designed my characters somewhat. I know what I'm going to do with mine. I wish I could be a bunch of sentient fungus that was British, but unfortunately the orcs already exist. They're so... I'm sorry to ruin this for a second, but they're so badass. They literally have power over their own imagination. If they believe that they will go faster because they painted their vehicles red, then surprisingly, once they paint the vehicle red, it will actually go faster. Like, literally, if they put lightning stripes on it, it'll go even faster. If they put flames on the back, it goes even faster. Why? Because they are imaginations. That's twisted.
They are imagination persona.
I have to say this. I know it's kind of really jumping far ahead, a little meta for people who don't understand. But Kaiju will. I swear to everything unholy, if you make an orc psyker, no.
No. I've actually read one of the novels where they hunted down the only orc psyker they knew about, and that was a horrible thing. It wiped out thousands upon thousands of freaking Marines. No, I'm not that kind of twisted person, no. If I imagine it comes true, so if I imagine your guns shoot gummy bears at me, they shoot gummy bears at me, and then they started shooting at them, and gummy bears came out.
Nom 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 nom.
Let that sit in your head. That's how twisted these little guys are, and they're British, which is an insult to the British. But anyways, so tonight we're doing up Don't Starve Together. We're also doing a live stream event. We're currently doing it now. This is for the St. Jude's Hospital. Any donations will help. We would appreciate it if you could donate, or at least send a message to us that we could send to them. They would really appreciate that. The children actually enjoy when people send them happy messages. That being said, though, we're going to get this whole thing rolling. Now, I have with me, in my little hand here, the words.
Computer.
Jeez, I was going to tell him what was in my hand. Honey.
Huh.
So I would like to start off with the first one of us. He is the weirdest one, in my opinion. That would be Necro Nick.
Hello.
Necro was always weird, though.
Yeah.
I
Yep. So Necro's entire character arc here is just he's weird. It's hard to put him onto a term. He'd be the easiest one of us to play, bar none, but he'd also be the. I had a friend of mine look at all of our classes and say that Nick would be like a low to medium class character. Which is nothing wrong with it. He didn't say you were a shit character. He didn't say Jug was a shit character either, or me, so just give you guys a heads up. So apparently Necro starts off with 2 different amulets. He has the amulet of the sun, he has the amulet of the moon. The amulet of the sun allows him to use nightmare fuel to heal or revive nearby allies. As long as we're within a certain reach of him, so he can heal us within an area of effect, or if we fall down, he can use it to regenerate. Of course, it uses nightmare fuel. We'll get to that in a minute. Then he has the amulet of the moon. This allows him to find dead enemies and resurrect them as zombified enemies. And they last for a day unless they're given more nightmare fuel, in which case they keep living. They're slower and dumber than the originals, but they're still en masse. Next, we have a gigantic army of them. Just scary stuff right there. Scary stuff. All the gear that he equips glows like small amounts of green. So he doesn't have to worry about that, which is going to be a mistake later on, but we'll talk about it. His biggest advantage is can detect the undead. Undead, except for boss undead, may join up with Necro and must be fed nightmare fuel every 3 days to stay. So Necro is all about summoning the undead, which I took a look through and saw that there were only a handful. But his ability to summon back a lot of different enemies like killer bees, wolves, not bosses. He specifically said not bosses. Does give him a very, very large advantage early on and into the late game where he can literally just swarm the enemy with an army of never-ending death. Stat-wise, however...
For the Horde!
Yeah, for the Horde. Oh, jeez, I hit a button. Oh, how do I hit the button? Stop hitting the button, Kyle. Stop hitting the button. There we go. That being said, however, Necro's stats are kind of, as my buddy put it, kind of the painful part about him. So, his health is at 100, his hunger is at 200, and his sanity is at 75. So, according to my buddy, he said his sanity may be at 75, but it's going to drop like a stone. So he's going to have to be careful because he goes insane too much. I go, that's a secret. He's always insane. Insane brings out the shadow creatures, which he can then kill to get nightmare fuel. And finally, his favorite food is the Meals Made Delicious tomahawk steak with fruit punch. What's that, you might ask? Well, we'll get to that later. My buddy said he would love to have Necro on his group as a member of the Don't Starve community. Mainly because Necro's ability to summon the dead and to heal the allies means that they have to spend less time looking for things like meat effigies or trying to feed bunny men and that kind of stuff. So next up, we're going to move on to the J word himself, Juggernaut Jared. And Juggernaut actually has a fairly interesting character. My buddy said he'd probably be a medium character. So Juggernaut specializes in stealth, bleeding, and teleporting. He is Juggernaut Jared the Ninja. Not Beverly Hills Ninja. Not that band. And so, Juggernaut comes with a series of katanas. They are the bone, gold, and mathracite. And he can also gain hold of the Nightmare Katana. The bone katana, gold katana, and mathracite katana all have the same ability, which is if he right-clicks on the target, he will teleport to them, strike, teleport away. He bleeds the targets and becomes stealth for 3 seconds. Which is great because that means Juggernaut can run, find a different angle, and attack again. The Nightmare Katana, on the other hand, lets him attack each enemy in an area once and then teleport away. He also has throwing stars, which are, of course, Bone, Gold, Master Sight, and Nightmare. And they're just easy to make, quick throwing weapons for him. He has 3 types of gis. He has the standard gi, the shadow gi, and the nightmare gi. Which, after 5, 4, and 3 seconds, respectively, of not attacking, he will then enter stealth until he uses an attacking item or he attacks an enemy. So combining his katanas with his gis and his throwing stars, Juggernaut can attack really quick, teleport away while the enemies bleed, and attack them from a distance with throwing stars. His favorite food is the hamburger. It's good. Juggernaut's health is 75, his food is 100, and his sanity is 200. Which means good luck on scaring Juggernaut. He is the man without fear. My buddy did suggest that.
You okay? Yeah.
As I was saying, my buddy did suggest that Juggernaut have a few like buildings that he can build, like training dummies and flip mats where you can just like flip and hide underneath the mats and things like that, and just other little tiny things for Ninja Juggernaut to have. With Necro Nick, he suggested that maybe Necro has some staffs with little skulls on them or something, or a harmonica that plays the ghost blues to summon ghosts. He also suggests that once Necro goes into insanity mode, the Nightmare Beasts won't attack him immediately, that they will only attack if Necro attacks them first, to give him more of a chance, because if he goes into there, it takes a long time to get your sanity back up, especially when you have a maximum of 75. These were just suggestions by him. Luke, I'm talking about you. You know what I'm talking about, buddy. And they get into mine, which is just a long, horrible list of stuff.
No, it's not. It's a wonderful list of stuff.
Luke told me, you really thought too hard about this. I said, I know. He goes, yep, and you'd be on my list with Juggernaut. You'd be on my list with Necro. So, the first thing I have are my Omni tools. I have them in the glitchy Omni tool, the hollow Omni tool, and the high-tech Omni tool. So they have a reach. They can attack like they are a cat of 9 tails. They glow. But the funny thing about my character cannot mine. My character cannot chop trees. My character cannot. All I can do is pick things up off the ground. So these Omni tools allow me to summon the little guys that are going to help me do it. From there, I have my structures, which are a few of them. Those structures are the MMD machine, or the Meals Made Delicious machine. I got this idea from the engineer class that came out recently, or came out a while ago. It was a mod class that had a machine that dumped out crap. So mine dumps out 2, 3, 4, or 5, depending on it, random MMD packages every morning. It can be upgraded because after every 70 days it goes without being damaged. It will increase to the next level. I have my UHO, or my user's holographic helper dolls, the universal helper object, which allows me to make guards, which attack with spears, farmers, which plant and harvest nearby crops, miners, which mine things, lumberjacks, which lumber things, and a saboteur, which throws a bunch of mines everywhere. I can also create hollow walls, hollow turrets, hollow chests, and hollow gates, and they just repair themselves over time. That's their big thing. But they require hollow projectors to make. So you have to make hollow projectors, and you can only make them in that area. If something happens to the hollow projector, or it rains and it's uncovered, wink wink, then it doesn't mean anything. So, right. And I basically would have to destroy it and rebuild it again. So basically, you got to build a cover over them, then I could build it underneath, and then I could build around it. Whole bunch of song and dance. It does not work out well for me in the end if it gets even a little bit wet. Like everything else out here. Then I have my armors, which are my helmets, which are the Happy Hollow Halo, the HDIW umbrella, or How Does It Work umbrella hat, and the Warm Winter What's It. Basically, they're just standard helmets, a little bit of protection, They all have a little item slot in them to hold a few items, and the Happy Halo restores sanity. The umbrella hat protects me from rain and lightning, and the winter what's it just lots of ice resistance. I can't be frozen while I'm in it. And then I have the matching armor underneath with the Happy Hollow Hallberg. How does it work? Summer wear, and the warm winter windbreaker, which are all basically the summer, winter, and regular modes of my armor as well. I have a hollow tent, which is basically just a recast color of the regular tents. And what we were all waiting for, my consumables, which is where Necro's food fancy comes in.
Nom, 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 nom,
I
nom.
have the MMD meals. They can't be crafted, they can only be made by an MMD dispenser, so you can only get 5 per day. And what they are is basically their meals made delicious, little packaged meals. So how they work is they take longer to eat than regular food does, but they all grant you 8 plus 20 per second health, 37 hunger, 33 sanity. That goes to all of them. They all do that. And they all have a special ability. The honey jerky and iced tea lowers your body temperature and increases your walking speed for a few seconds. The leafy chicken and calm tea raises your body temperature and restores more sanity. Buzz turkey is movement speed. The tomahawk steak is boosts your damage. The thick teriyaki with lemon doubles your mining, chopping, and hammering speeds. These are for my allies. Because obviously I can't eat them because I can't double my mining, chopping, and hammering speed, seeing as my mining, chopping, and hammering speed are 0 because I can't do that. Meatballs with iron brew, which by the way is illegal in the United States, but it's great to have. Decreases incoming damage. The boneless sweet wings with chocolate milk. Increase incoming healing for Necro and for everybody else. And the MMD pepperoni pizza with Jolt Cola makes you immune to all status effects such as hay fever for 4 minutes. My buddy said I put way too much thought behind that. But he also said that he would immediately, above everything else, try to help me build as many of those damn MMD dispensers as possible. He said you would never leave base. He told me straight out all I would be doing is building things and creating walls and stuff like that. And I'm like, I mean, that's fun and all. But what if I wanted to go out? And he said no. Now, he did bring up a few things.
So technically, your character, like in almost every game, is support.
Yep. I mean, I can attack my Omni tool. It's kind of a whip, but it doesn't do a lot of damage unless they're wet, in which case it gives them a little bit of an electric shock. He said that I would do good in the Reign of Giants. I would do great in the Hamlet. I believe he said it was the Hamlet. He said, but I would probably end up dying off really quick in Shipwreck because of things such as the hurricane and monsoon seasons, random water raising and going down techniques, enemies that can spit and throw water at things. He said basically that would shut down all of your defensive walls. It would probably take out your little robot buddies and that kind of stuff. And you'd be SOL. You'd be out of luck right there. I'm like, yeah, probably. But what about my food dispenser? He goes, if anyone touches those, I'll kill myself. He says, I want 5 of those things coming out every day into my pocket. So basically, he said the only really good thing I made were the foods. He said everything else is great, but it has a very, very big weakness and makes me unplayable on one of the certain map types. But I can understand. I mean, I'm not going to be the best character on all of them. He said Jug would be great on everything but Shipwreck. And he said Necro would be good on everything but Shipwreck.
Huh.
Well, he said for Juggernaut, it's great, except a lot of the fighting happens out on boats. And the last thing Jug wants to do is to teleport into the water and then fall into the water and drown.
Yeah.
Which means all he could basically do is sit on his boat and throw shurikens at the enemies and hope they die. And he said the same thing goes with Necro, where Necro goes and summons a bunch of enemies, and then that boat starts to sink, so he has to jump to another boat, but the characters can't jump. So they would just drown with the boat, so he'd be without anything. He said he'd still be there for healing support, though, so that's great. He said Juggernaut shurikens, do they cause bleed? I said yes, everything Juggernaut does bleeds. I said if he eats something too fast, he'll make all the enemies around him bleed. He started to chuckle at that. He said, "That's funny." Like you gave him a
know,
pen and he goes to sign something, he's gonna cut somebody. It's like, yeah.
I would be having Battlefield Brandon. I would be channeling the spirit of Battlefield Brandon. Get off my boat.
Off my boat. Ah. So, Neko would have a whirlwind of a day in the hamlet, though, he said, because of all the different types of creatures that are on the land, the number of things he could bring back to life, poison spitting ants, killer plants, crocogators, you know. And he said Juggernaut would be good anywhere where there were things that could bleed, which is basically every game. And he goes, but he wouldn't do very good against the Fuel Weaver, would you? I go, no, he wouldn't do good against the Fuel Weaver, but there's a reason why we don't bring him to fight the Fuel Weaver. He's like, what, are you going to fight the Fuel Weaver? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to smack my little whip and then beg it not to eat me. No, I'm going to run from that thing. So what are you going to do? I'm going to have Neko go around, kill 99% of things. You can play what? No, you didn't. It might be an update, though. Upload to cloud. Sorry about that. He said we would all have our pluses, but we would all have our minuses. So there's that. You know, always got to have the advantage. Always have to have the disadvantages. You know, and that would just be it. That was a rather quick event right there, guys.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah. Next week's, however, will be a much longer and much more luxurious, if you will, event. Where we will be bringing our little thought process. You know, I knew this one was going to be quick too. My buddy told me this would be a quick one. He told me it'd be like 20, 30 minutes tops. So coming at us next week will be a much longer version of the game of this, where we will be doing Command and Conquer.
Yeah, I believe at least 7 units. Correct me if I'm wrong. For Command and Conquer.
Well, I mean, you could have as little as 7 units. Basically, you need to. How it works is we would need to pick, like, do you have the ability to build ground units? Yes. Okay, we need some infantry and some tanks. Can you build air units? Yes. Well, then we need some air units. Can you build naval units? Well, then we need a few of your naval units. We need your super weapon, and you're done.
Right.
It's what happens after that. That's the. Yep, that's going to be a bad one. Nobody tell anybody we're doing 40K, please.
Oh, 4K.
I've seen how people react to 40K even being brought up. I have seen the bloodshed that those guys can take down. Oh my goodness! I thought.
Oh, or yeah, murder 40K.
Well, we'll see about that. You see, there's a few things I've noticed about 40K. Now, once again, if you're one of these people, I apologize ahead of time. But there are people that take 40K like it's a Bible. How dare you insult the Imperium of Man and the God Emperor himself? Because they suck. I'm sorry, but I have looked at every single group that comes from the Imperium of Man, and I can tell you, if you aren't called a salamander, you suck and die. That's all I care about. If you're a salamander, you are the only ones worth keeping around. That's it. The salamanders of the freaking the Space Marines, they are worth keeping around. None of the others. The others are just dicks.
I'm sorry, Rogel Dorn.
So the rules are quite simple. We're gonna have to make our own group, and it does or does not have to be part of any of those groups. You can be the Imperium of Man. You could be a Tyrannid group if you want. You don't have to be Tyranids though. You could be Orcs. He's going to smashy them.
The Hoobits.
Come on, get a good fight in ya, you bollock. That's real orc right there, by the way. I'm speaking Orkese right now. Which is basically a very slummed down and dirty version of the British language. So, I mean, Yatasa! Oh boy. So, anyways, if you guys want to stick around for a little bit after this, we can start talking about the Command and Conquer thing. And, did somebody just join?
No, you froze up.
Did I? Oh, I apologize.
Yeah.
Sorry. Was I
Maybe
still?
It's my game.
Nope. Nah.
Because my game is stubborn.
Well, there is a storm coming in.
We have rain right now.
No, Juggernaut didn't have rain right now, so there's probably a storm heading this way anyway. All right, guys. Well, for everyone who's watching this, once again, we are doing the donation link for St. Jude's. Please help out if you can. If you can't, it's understandable. But if you could at least send a message to the children that they can see, we will put it up on the site and they'll be able to see it. But until next time, folks,
Awesome.
I am the cool and collect, but not sick, Kaiju K.
I am Necro Nick calling Kaiju out on his bullshit of not being sick when he is sick.
I'm Juggernaut Jared.
I'm confused. I'm K-Man.
Those are synonymous for each other. Those are synonymous with each other right there.
Mm-hmm. I'm very tired, Mama Bear.
A skunk is nearby. There's Tiny Trisha. And we'll see you all in the future.